So my name is Susie O'Hara, and I'm the project manager and curator for One Cell at a Time, which is a project that's been funded by the Wellcome Trust as part of the broader WSSS HCA initiative that's also been funded by Wellcome Trust. And it's fundamentally looking at different ways to engage diverse publics across the UK. Our focus is on 4 different cities, so Newcastle, London, Cambridge and Oxford. And the reason why those 4 cities have been chosen is because the partner institutions that are engaged in the WSSS grant, I don't know how many S's I said there, but I'll say it again. Are located there. So Newcastle University, there's obviously EBI down in Cambridge, as well as Cambridge University and Sanger. There's Oxford University, London King's, and a number of other institutions as well. So as part of the last year, what we've been doing is devising a programme to engage with the science of HCA in a variety of different models and formats that can engage a whole variety of different people from different perspectives, using different artistic and creative methods, with a view to kind of getting different people to kind of engage with the science in a whole variety of different ways. And I'm just going to share quickly my screen, and bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen. I don't know what you guys see. Can you guys see this? Okay, so I'm just going to lower this. And if I go into resources, if you go onto the Human Cell Atlas website, go into resources and then the UK public resources, public engagement, you'll see all of our programme laid out here for those who aren't familiar with it. We've got a series of Artside commissions looking at the science of HCA from 4 different thematic perspectives. So speculative normality is in Oxford, embodying normality is Newcastle upon Tyne, sensing normality is London, and performing normality is Cambridge. We're also working with the RCA on an artist duo, Esther Teichmann and Christopher Stewart, on developing a film called The Story of Human Cell Atlas. We've got a zine series that's in development. And then we've got a schools strand, which this is part of. So if we go in here, you'll see the How to Build a Human Design a Card Game Challenge, which fundamentally is inviting young people, secondary school age, year 7 to year 9, age 11 to 14, to engage with the science and getting inspired by the science of HCA and design, learn how to design a card game, and then work with a toy designer to get that game produced into a real product for distribution. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to, how do I stop sharing? Here we go. On that note, I'm going to hand over to my colleague from Little Inventors, Ellie Burkhead, who's going to show you the amazing challenge website that Little Inventors have developed alongside Anna Wilby-Clark, and the suite of resources that we've got for teachers to download for free from the website. And then Anna's going to walk through the science resource that she has created that you guys hopefully will take a part in helping to deliver, before opening the floor out to just any questions that you might have. So without further ado, let me introduce, I'm really thrilled to introduce Ellie Burkhead from Little Inventors.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so I'm the design lead at Little Inventors, as Susie said. So I'm going to just share my screen. Is that all working? Yep. So I thought I'd just start by going through the challenge brief, just so it's really clear for you all what we're kind of looking for. So we want you to design a card game inspired by the Human Cell Atlas project and the fascinating world of human cells and tissues. So basically we're looking for a card game that's fun, easy to understand and educational. So we'll teach the players something about the Human Cell Atlas or human cells and tissues. So that's the general brief. And then we've got, so it's a competition, so there is a prize. So basically we're going to choose together with our expert games designer, Richard Heayes, we're going to choose which we think is the best idea and develop it into a real game. So the plan is that we'll print around 200 copies of the game, and each school will basically get a copy of the game to use in their future lessons or whatever they want to do with it. And the general outline of the workshop is, so the first part of the workshop is to learn as much as possible about the Human Cell Atlas. And I'll show you what we've got on the website and the resources we've got to help with that. And after this, Anna's also going to go through the lesson that she's put together for you to deliver on that if you want to. And then the second part of the workshop is to learn as much as you can about games design. So we've got some videos from Richard and some top tips from him. And then finally, the children will have time to get into teams and develop and design their own card game. So I'm just going to show you the website that we've put together. So this is on the Little Inventors website if you want to get to it. If you click on here, we've basically made a special microsite, which is hca.littleinventors.org, just for the challenge. So the first page is an overview of the challenge. We've extended the deadline now to the 1st of April. So yeah, that you may want to take note of that. And then, so go to the challenge page. So you can either go here, the challenge, or challenge page here. And basically, this is kind of everything they need to know about the challenge. So we've tried to make the website so someone could just come on the website and basically it would walk them through everything. So it's quite clear. So just go down. So we've got a video here. I won't play it now. It's about 5 minutes long, but this is from Dominic, who's the founder of Little Inventors, and he's talking about the challenge. That'll give them a really good overview of everything we're looking for. And we just scroll down, and basically this is where to download the whole challenge pack. And I'll just give you a really quick look at what that looks like. So yeah, so this is the challenge pack here. And basically it's got a guide for the teachers. It's got the challenge presentation, which has got a short HCA lesson in. That's just a very brief lesson, a kind of overview of what the Human Cell Atlas project is. And then the game design lesson. So you can have a look at this, download this and have a look at it in your own time if you want to. Then we've got some idea sheets. This is for the children to kind of work through their card game design together. And then we've got entry sheets. I'll show you that again in a minute. And then Anna's going to go through the lesson, which is here. And we've got these tissue sheets, which are basically fact sheets that we've put together. I'm not sure, maybe some of you might have helped us, but with different HCA researchers to remind the students different facts about the cells that they can use in their game, because obviously there's a lot for them to take in. They kind of need to learn about game design and all the science, and potentially just in a 2-hour workshop. So these are basically all reminders for them that they can use in their game. And finally, there's a recap sheet for them there. So I'm just going to go back to the website now. So yeah, so this is kind of the first activity. So learning about the Human Cell Atlas. We've got a video here from Sarah. Really nice introduction to the Human Cell Atlas. And then go down. And we also got some videos from different researchers. I don't know if any of you sent them, but we've basically collated all of those on our YouTube channel, which you can go to here. I'll just give you a quick look at that. So basically we've got different researchers that have sent videos in explaining about their specific research on different parts of the body. So that's just for students if they do want to learn more, basically. Sorry, just go back to the page. Yep. And then the next thing is learning about card game design. This is a really nice video from Richard, our professional card game designer, giving loads of really great tips on how to design a card game. And then the idea is that they work in their teams to generate ideas on those sheets that I showed you before. and then to complete the entry sheets. So basically, for them to win the competition, we need to know as much as possible about their game design. So we basically design these sheets so that they can give us the key information. So the first one is they do a drawing of their game box. The next one is that they do drawings of key cards that might be really important to their game. Then different information about rules, who can play the game, that kind of thing. What's the story of the game? What's it about? And yeah, so then I'll just go down. So the upload page, I'm not sure really if you guys will need to know much about this, but it might just be helpful to show you. So go to the upload page. And basically what we need them to do is to upload their sheets here. So they'll choose a file, upload it. I'll just show you quickly. Just a random image. And then it will give you an option to then upload more images or more information. And then below, they can then upload information about who they are or if they're in a team, because we do recommend doing this challenge in a team if possible. And the pack has tips about working in a team. And we've also given them suggested roles that might help them to break up their team and make sure that they're all kind of working on different parts of the game design. So this is for a team entry. So team members' first names, card game name, things like that. And that will be published on the Little Inventors website after they press send here. But first it's moderated by us, but then it will be published for everyone to see in a gallery. So yeah, I think that's it from me. So I'll hand over to Anna, who'll talk about the specific HCA teaching. Let me just stop my...
Just to answer the quick question, so no, yeah, there's no limits on the number of cards. It's just that they can only put, well, there's space for putting pictures of 6. And I think they can put more if they want to, can't they? They could add extra sheets.
Yeah.
It's to kind of keep it a bit simple, because if we have more, perhaps say less advanced students, that's kind of the minimum they need to include.
Can I just...
Oh, okay, sorry. I just saw the question. Do they have a limit of 6 cards per game? Yeah, so they yeah, as Anna just said, they can upload more on blank sheets of paper. And in the pack, there's also one extra page that says any additional cards you want to show. Do that there.
Kirsten, do you have a question?
Oh, yes, I was just going to put it in the chat, but are there any provisions to do this online? Because their kids may not be around that much in school between now and April.
Yeah, so the pack is all designed online digitally, and we've been working on this today, and we had a launch with the teachers on Friday about how we can make the resources as easy as possible for them to kind of fill in online rather than printing off, because obviously not all students have access to printers. So what I've done so far is made these PDFs interactive. So for example, for the idea generation sheets, you can just open it in Preview or Adobe or whatever you normally open a PDF in, and you just click on it. I can just show you quickly. Let me just share my screen again. So you can just click on it. So open it like this, and they're just clickable here. So you can start writing in like that. So we tried to make that as easy as possible for people to just instantly start writing in there. And that's for all of the pages on here. And for the entry sheets, it's the same, but it's a bit more tricky because they need to upload the images, they're drawing. So we've just had a conversation about this, and I think I'm going to make a PowerPoint version of those so that they can just drop in an image. They can draw it on plain paper, take a picture of it, and drop it into this PowerPoint. So yeah, but any suggestions are definitely welcome, because we've been having a lot of discussion about how we can make this as easy as possible for people to use in the current circumstances.
I think we're still kind of hoping that if we're really lucky, they might go back before the deadline, because we extended the deadline to the 1st of April now. Fingers crossed. So they can actually do a bit in teams physically together would be nice, but who knows?
Are there any other questions at this point? No? Okay, well, feel free to keep dropping them into the chat. We'll kind of keep going and answering them as they go along. But otherwise, we'll kick off with Anna. We'll want to share her screen and just go through the science lesson, which is embedded in the free downloadable resource pack for teachers, and has the option for you guys to maybe take part in delivering.
Cool. Can you guys just see my folder? You should be able to see there's 1, 2, 3, 5 documents here that will download for you. Can you see that? Yeah. So this is part of, so if I just go back one. So if you download those resources off the microsite that Ellie just showed, you'll get all of these folders. And folder number 5 is really the one that we're asking for some help from some people, ideally, to help present. And in here, so this is a lesson, which is really about cells, genes, and then a little bit about the Human Cell Atlas. So in here, there's one file that's a PDF that's called the 5-minute lesson plan, which I'll just flash up briefly. This is more for the teachers, but it gives you an overview of what's in that folder, so that there's a PowerPoint in there and what the students need to learn, and yeah, just general information for the teachers. But it might be useful for you guys as just a quick go-to to have a look at what's in that folder. So basically it tells you what the objectives are, what information we want the students to learn, and then there's a few other bits, and then the activities are here. So there's a PowerPoint slide, which I'll show you. And then there's also an activity, which is one that for anyone who's interested, another thing that we are doing is something called WOW lessons, which are basic science lessons for year 7 students. That's completely separate to this. So Eleanor helped to plan those last year, and this Pin the Cell on the Human was an activity that she designed for that. So I've just incorporated it in this because it was easy to reuse the activity. And then there's a little video which the Broad actually prepared on what the Human Cell Atlas is. It's just a 2-minute video to play. And then, yes, and then obviously there's the card game design competition to introduce. So that's just a useful little overview. And then if I show you what's actually in the lesson, that's what you'll be most interested in. So we're asking if anybody, and please encourage colleagues to have a look and see if they would be interested in helping. If anyone would be interested in delivering this lesson over Zoom, with the aid of a teacher will be there, to some students, just so we can get some HTA researchers involved, and also for them to get a little bit of information about you and that you're a real person and you're not some crazy science person with grey hair who's some genius, you know, just get an idea that we're real people. So what this set of slides goes through, so I hope you can see those. It goes through what the Human Cell Atlas is and just explains what that is. And then these are the 3 things that are covered in the slides. One is what cells are, how we build our bodies from them. Second one is what genes are and how they make cell types different. And then the third one is a bit about the Human Cell Atlas itself and what we're doing. So you can look through these in your own time, but if I just go through them briefly, but it's quite simple stuff. And as always, the Zoom window is always in front of everything. So I'll just move you all out of the way. There we go. So about cells being the building blocks of living things. And then if you look in slide notes, there's information as well. So this is a picture from the gut, and it's just a little bit about saying, oh, there's different cell types in this picture. This is another nice image that Eleanor found, how to build a unicorn from blocks, and then how to build a human from cells. And again, if you look in the slide notes, the information on what you need to say is there. These are some different cell types. And then explaining things like cells have different shapes, they have different colors, and some interesting cell facts. And then to mention that cells communicate as well, and that they fit together in 3D space. So your organs aren't just big bags of cells, that they fit together in space. And then this is the Pin the Cell on the Human activity. I'll show you the, well, I don't know if it's, I can show you the cards for this, but the original idea behind this, as I say, this was run by Eleanor and some other colleagues when they did the WOW lessons with year 7 last year. There's basically a PowerPoint slide set in this folder that I showed you. And it's got pictures of cells. So it's got cartoons and histological images of cells, and then facts on cells. And the idea is the students need to match together the pictures and then the facts. And then once they've matched them together, they're supposed to put them where they think they belong on the human body. Obviously, that was run as actually printing out the cards in the WOW lessons that they did. But if we have to do it virtually, I don't see why the students can't just rearrange them in PowerPoint if the teacher sends around the PowerPoint. So that's the only way I can think of doing at the moment. Anyone's got any better ideas, let me know. And then there's a bit on genes. So it's just explaining genes are part of your DNA.
Sorry to just briefly, you know, there's those online platforms where you can vote between a number of options and everybody on the platform can vote. So if you have, rather than, you know, everybody doing it themselves, I think it could work really well if people see, oh, I think that's in the tummy, or I think that's in the fingertips, and you see how other people vote. I mean, once you have the license to the software, I don't think it's super hard to use.
That sounds like a really good idea. I have not used them, and yeah, we should have a look into that. Yeah.
Well, I've been working with Tracy actually, using the Slido poll and Q&A platform, and that might be really, particularly if one of the researchers in the HCA are delivering it, that wouldn't be difficult. It's a super simple system, and I think that's a great idea, Kirsten. I think it's entirely possible.
Yeah. Yeah, anything that makes it possible to deliver virtually. But yeah, that's a good idea. So then there's just a bit about what DNA is, and what makes cell types different is your genes, or at least that's how we're studying them. A little bit about DNA and adenine, because this DNA and cells fit in really nicely with what the students are learning at this point in time. So I thought it's nice to have that little bit of background in there. Hopefully, depending on their age, they'll already know this, but maybe the year 7s might not. So it's good to have it in there. And then explaining that the letters of the code make up genes. And then genes are made of DNA, genes make proteins, proteins make cells, cells make people. I haven't talked about RNA in this because I thought that might be a bit too advanced and might just confuse them. So. And then that we have different cells that have different sets of genes turned on. So that's the bit about genes. And then there's a little bit about the Human Cell Atlas, which is about us, our mission, what our mission statement actually means in simple language, type of questions that we are asking, why we're bothering to do this. And again, if you look in slide notes, there's an explanation of this diagram with quite a bit of information in it, because this is all designed so that teachers who know nothing about us can present it, and also so that non-science teachers can present it as well. So, and then this is a link to the YouTube video, which is a 2-minute video that the Broad have made on what the Human Cell Atlas is. And then it's just a couple of our poster images saying what we're doing and who's involved. And then the last slide is just saying that we want students to be involved and to help design the card game, and also to give a link to the Little Inventors website. So I'll just show you briefly the pin cell on the human cards, which, as you say, we could do some kind of voting system. That would be quite nice. Just if it opens. So these are just pictures. So I've actually randomized these slightly, just with the idea. Oh no, this is the old version, sorry. So these are in the right order. So as you can see, there's just pictures of the cells, and then facts about cells. And the idea was originally that they would be printed off and then students would match them together. So if I just stop sharing now. So that's what's in there. And we're trying to encourage a few of our researchers to help present that, and to also speak a little bit about who they are and what they're doing. And that'll have to be virtually. Well, it's going to have to be virtually over Zoom to some students, and to give them a bit of information for the challenge. So
I have a question in that, so obviously you said the slides are sort of fine for non-scientists, non-researchers. Obviously I'm a software developer rather than a researcher working at the HCA. So my worry would be, what if the kids ask a question I don't know the answer to? Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I would have thought, I mean, you're going to have a teacher there as well. If you're a bit worried about that, maybe we could see if we can make sure you're with a science teacher or something
That's my best suggestion. Has anyone got any other suggestions?
I would just say to turn it into an advantage and say, you know, one thing that's really cool about the HCA is that we have bench lab scientists, we have clinicians, and we have a lot of computing experts. And all of those have to work together. And I'm at the computing end. So you know what? That's a really good question. And I just don't know. But I'll find out and I'll send you an email. So, you know, I think it's perfectly fine for kids to get the impression that not everybody knows everything. I mean, that's how life is, right?
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
If I can add something, I did once a visit to a school and we actually used slides. We kind of modified a bit. I can send you what we did. And the idea was for them to put the cells on the body, like just to see when they see the cells, if they can localize where they are. And I think it's really important to precise that we are not clinician, if you are not clinician, because they kind of confuse a bit science and medicine. And they ask so many questions about the particular thing that happened in their life. Like once a boy like asked, yeah, once I had like this wound, it takes a long time to heal. Like, and basically was asking some stuff really particular to his particular problem. So yeah, that happened actually a lot during these courses I did. So I think that needs to be clear and maybe explain well the difference between both, because when they are young, they don't really see the difference.
And also that could go into maybe one overview slide of the HCA, that it has all those different people kind of thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Maybe that's why it's maybe good to make a slide presenting which kind of person are involved and say that we are part of the bioinformatics team, or we are really like scientists working at the bench, or we are clinicians. Stuff like that.
I can add that in, that's fine. That's a good idea.
Helpful. And I think it's a really nice way then, as you say, to introduce where you fit into the wider picture of HCA.
And like that, they will maybe avoid to ask questions that you have absolutely no clue.
Most of the teachers and schools that have gotten in touch with the project so far have been from the science side. Mm-hmm. So I think having that kind of science teacher expertise in the room is not going to be a problem as well. So just in case there's any questions from that side.
Right.
I feel much better. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I think that's everything.
Just to be clear, sorry, just another question. Is this lesson different from the WOW lesson that was mentioned in the email?
It's slightly different, yeah. So it's a different project. So this is for the WSSS grant, we have funding for this card game competition, and this lesson is for that. The WOW lesson is, to be honest, it's quite similar in content, but it's run to a different group of schools. It's to a specific set of schools and to year group 7. So it's not that different to deliver, but it is a different group of schools.
Okay. Thanks.
Great. So I think in terms of, is there any other questions or any other thoughts?
Yeah, I was just wondering how it works remotely with the groups, with the schools. Does the teacher get everyone together and then you just join on and share a screen? Is that how it works? Exactly.
So next steps is what I was just about to kick off with, Sam. No, that's great. No, really good question. And I guess from our side of things, we've just done the official launch on Friday, and we had, oh God, I can't remember the number, but about 20 teachers on the call.
5, I think. 25.
25
from 18 schools, I think.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of interest, given that teachers are completely under the cosh with this kind of, sudden pivot to kind of online virtual learning again. So really impressed with just the tenacity that these teachers have. It's incredible. And so we've got this really great cohort that have already signed up, and we'll obviously be promoting the project and the challenge, you know, over the next kind of number of weeks in terms of trying to recruit more schools. But what my thoughts are in terms of next steps for this is to kind of get back in touch with those early adopting schools and ask them, do they want to have this additional kind of fantastic opportunity to have one of the HCA members come in and deliver this particular aspect of the program? So you will remember from the challenge website that this challenge is kind of designed to be delivered in stages and phases. And the teachers are going to be kind of obviously dealing with a lot on their plate, but those who do want to deliver it have many different options in terms of how they approach delivery. And so I suppose it's about giving them a little bit of time to think about how they want to do that and getting in touch with them and giving this as an option. And then basically they'll get back to us and say, we've got a cohort, we're delivering it in this way. You know, this date is going to be the best date for us in terms of delivery at this time slot, which may be the science class. And that's when we'll arrange a Zoom with the HCA members. And obviously I'll be there to help facilitate and all the rest of it. So it's going to be a fully supported and fully kind of, you know, resourced experience for everybody. So no one's going to be kind of left on their own to deliver something. Definitely you'll be guided through it, and it will be in close communication with the schools. Okay. So I suppose, I mean, from the only thing that I would say is after you've seen now what we're hoping to deliver with the schools, is everyone still interested in throwing their hat in the ring? Yeah, I'm seeing lots of nods. Fantastic. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you in the first instance, because I absolutely appreciate that. You know, it's not only teachers who are super busy at the moment, you guys are exceptionally busy too. So I really appreciate your commitment in that respect. And what I'll do, I'll kind of basically wrap all of this up and send you guys an email so you've got access to all of the links and everything that we've discussed here today. And then we're literally just kind of devising an email for those teachers on Friday. So I'll include this invitation with the email that we'll send them out. And basically, it's just about then me getting in touch with you guys individually as and when we have teachers coming in over the next number of weeks. So I guess, as I say, the deadline is the 1st of April. I'd imagine that it's going to happen in terms of delivery over January, February. And we'll just kind of keep you informed if that's okay. But if any questions at all, just get in touch with Anna, get in touch with myself. You know, we'd be delighted to kind of touch base with you. If you do, once we do have things confirmed with the school, if you want to have a touch base, a quick chat to run through the material again, no problem at all. That'd be absolutely fine for us to help you deliver that as well. Okay, so it's just about kind of keeping in touch and let us know what your needs are, and we'll support you in the best way that we can.
And do get back to us also if, I mean, at the moment you said you had 18 schools and there's 12 people in this meeting or something. I'm sure once we, you know, somebody's had the first experience of doing it, we can twist some arms and get more people involved, because I think it's just that people get a bit scared of the time commitment they're making if they're saying they're interested. But, you know, most students and postdocs are actually really, really keen to tell the rest of the world what they're doing and share some of the enthusiasm. I mean, everybody is, as you said, you know, we all don't have enough hours in the day, but in some ways, actually doing something that's a bit different can be quite therapeutic in amongst your sort of standard meeting routine. So do get back in touch because I think it'd be a dreadful shame if there are schools who've expressed an interest and we say we don't have enough people. And I'm sure we shouldn't let that happen.
No, fantastic, Kirsten. I certainly will. Definitely. Thank you.
And I've also got another question. If more schools want to join later, presumably that's possible.
Entirely possible and very encouraged. So myself and Little Inventors, and we've got Laura, who's delivering the PR and social media campaign for the One Cell at a Time public engagement programme. We're all meeting next week to kind of develop and strategize how we kind of push this out further. It's a fantastic resource, particularly now that everything is virtual, because it's designed to be virtual. So there's absolutely no problem in other schools wanting to get involved. obviously this first wave was kind of primarily kind of, you know, trying to access those schools in our priority areas. But now that we've got that kind of first wave and cohort of early adopters in those areas, 100%, I'm dead keen to push this out as widely as we can.
I can imagine lots of teachers would be really interested because they're desperate for online content.
Exactly. So this has been my messaging to schools over the last week or so since all this has kicked off again. A final thing, I've just dropped in the post-event questionnaire in the chat. Again, 2 minutes. Another chance to put your hat in the ring for £100 shopping voucher. So if by the end of the call you could just finish that, that would be so helpful for our evaluation. I really appreciate it. Alexia, I see your hand up.
Yeah, it was just it's a tangential sort of in the future thing of like, oh, I wonder how they're going to judge the game, because as a board gamer, here are all of my games on my dining room table.
Oh, fantastic!
Like, I'm really curious about like the quality of and like the games that come out of it. So I'm just really curious when we actually get to that bit beyond April as well. So I'm just looking forward to the whole thing.
Really great question. Well, what we're basically going to be doing after the 1st of April, so then we obviously move into the Easter holidays. And over that couple of weeks, Little Inventors will go through a kind of shortlisting process with the ideas, and then at that point, actually, there's every possibility if you want to be involved, or if anybody here wants to be involved, you know, to have sight of those ideas, to kind of choose your best, your favorites. We're really keen to engage HCA members and their ideas on that, because eventually we're going to have this as part of our touring exhibition that will tour nationally to those 4 cities. And so having your your favorites and the reason why you really like the ideas in quotes that we can kind of have as part of that exhibition is going to be gold dust. So that would be fantastic if we're able to kind of get you guys involved, and we'll work out the best system in order to facilitate that over the next kind of few weeks. And then basically we'll have a judging panel that will involve members from the HCA, but also Little Inventors. Richard Heayes is our toy designer. He's going to be part of that selection.
Did we just lose Susie, or was it just?
I think I'm back. I think I'm
okay.
you again. I don't know how much you heard of that.
No, I think the gist, and just it's interesting because the HCA team, the ingest side in the EBI is actually looking for social things, and there's a number of us who like board games, so it might be an interesting thing. Like we play one of these games a week, kind of thing, just because we want opportunities to sort of have that kind of social interaction over the internet with each other in a way that isn't work based. So yeah.
I think you should definitely have a look at Richard's video as well on the website, because yeah, he really knows a lot about game design. He's designed some really big board games. So, and yeah,
he was lead designer for Hasbro for many years. The other thing that I'm thinking now that you're talking is basically that part of Richard's role is going to be working with that winning team's design and the winning team to evolve the game idea further, ready to be, you know, from that production side. And they're also going to be looking for testers. So kind of maybe roping you guys in to that aspect would be really brilliant, actually, and kind of getting your feedback in terms of the playability and all of those aspects of it so it can feed into the development of the final game would be really, really helpful.
And they do it all online. That they have software to play the games online. So yeah.
Awesome.
We'll keep you in the loop around that. Okay, great. Well, if there's any other questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I'll put my email in the chat. But there you go. Without further ado, I'll let you guys go and have some lunch.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.